Two headlines, same industry, same month. Read them back to back. Headline 1, North American EV sales are down roughly 20% year to date. The federal tax credit is gone, early adopter demand has cooled, and legacy giants including Ford and GM have pulled back on their electric programs. Headline 2, Tesla just posted 480,126 deliveries in a single quarter, its strongest second quarter ever and its first year-over-year delivery growth in 2 years. Rivian beat its own guidance and launched the R2, its most affordable vehicle yet. And a startup called Slate revealed a bare-bones electric pickup at $24,950, a price that has never existed in the American EV market. So which is it? Is the American EV dead or breaking records? Both. At the same time, and understanding how both can be true is the single best lens for reading everything that's about to happen in the car industry over the next 3 years. This is the turbo theory. Let's take the engine apart. Start with what actually changed, because the 20% drop has a specific cause, and it isn't Americans stopped liking EVs. For years, the US federal tax credit knocked thousands of dollars off qualifying electric vehicles. That credit has ended, and when a subsidy that large disappears, something predictable happens. Every marginal buyer, everyone for whom the math only barely worked, exits the market at once. The result is exactly what the data shows. Sales fall hard, and the fall reveals the true shape of demand underneath the subsidy. What's left are the buyers who wanted the product at its real price. That's not the market dying. That's the market being weighed accurately for the first time in years. Painful, honest, and, for anyone trying to understand the industry, incredibly informative. Because look at who's thriving on the real scale and who isn't. Thriving. The companies whose entire business is the electric car. Tesla's record quarter, Rivian narrowing its losses while rolling out cheaper models, Slate attacking a price point Detroit said was impossible. These companies can't retreat to gasoline. Their only move is to make the EV good enough and cheap enough to win without help. So that's what they're doing, retreating, the legacy giants. Ford and GM scaled back because they have somewhere to retreat to. Profitable trucks and SUVs with engines. When the subsidy vanished, continuing to lose money on every EV stopped making sense to shareholders. Notably, Ford hasn't left the fight, it's changed weapons. The announced Fathom truck aims at a sub-$30,000 price, built to compete not with GM, but with China. And that word, China, is where this story stops being American and becomes global. Because here's the uncomfortable context around America's 20% dip. In China, EVs now account for roughly 64% of all new car sales. Not of a niche, of everything. The transition there isn't coming. It has functionally happened. Chinese EV exports more than doubled in the first quarter compared to last year, and Beijing's new regulations are pushing its automakers to compete on technology and software rather than pure discounting, which means the cars leaving China aren't just cheap anymore. They're advanced. BYD's newest models ship with LiDAR built into the roof and driver assistance systems as standard features. Europe, meanwhile, is on track for 1 in 3 new cars sold this year to be electric, per the IEA's outlook. Globally, the electric car market grew 20% last year to over 20 million sales, a quarter of the entire world car market. The 5th straight year of massive growth. About 5% of every car on Earth is now electric, displacing over 1 million barrels of oil per day. So put the American story in its true frame. The world's EV transition is accelerating. America's is repricing. Those are very different events, and confusing them leads to exactly the wrong conclusions. The risk for American manufacturers isn't that EVs fail. It's that they win everywhere else first, and that the companies retreating today spend the late 2020s trying to re-enter a race whose leaders spent those same years going flat out. The auto industry has run this exact experiment before. Dismissing small, efficient Japanese cars in the 1970s bought Detroit a decade of comfort and cost it a generation of market share. The Fathom truck exists because Ford, at least, remembers. Now what this means for the actual buyer. Because a repricing market is a strange and genuinely interesting place to shop. The end of subsidies forced the fight to move to the sticker price itself, and it's producing things that didn't exist 2 years ago. A $24,950 electric pickup, Rivian's R2 opening the brand below its luxury tier, aggressive lease and financing deals across mainstream models as manufacturers defend volume. When companies can't lean on a government discount, they have to build the discount into the car. And that discipline, brutal for the industry, is a gift to the patient buyer. The honest caveats, as always. Charging infrastructure, while growing fast, still varies enormously by region. And an EV that's perfect for a suburban homeowner with a garage plug remains genuinely inconvenient for someone parking on the street. Range claims and real-world range are still different numbers, especially in winter. And the used EV market is still young enough that battery health, not mileage, is the number that matters. And most buyers don't yet know how to check it. None of that is a reason to avoid electric. All of it is a reason to buy with your own math, not anyone's marketing, in either direction. Here's where I'll leave you, and it's the theory this channel is named for. Every disruptive machine in automotive history has followed the same curve. Hype, overshoot, crash, and then the quiet, unglamorous phase where the technology stops being a statement and becomes just a better car. That last phase is where the real winners are decided, and it never looks exciting from outside. It looks like falling sales headlines, canceled programs, and skeptics declaring victory at exactly the moment the survivors are cutting costs, fixing weaknesses, and pulling away. That's where the American EV market is right now. The subsidy era ended, the tourists left, and what remains is a knife fight over the only thing that ever wins car markets permanently. A better vehicle at a better price. 20% down and record quarters, both true because one number describes the market that was, and the other describes the one being built. The theory says, watch the price of the cheapest good EV. Every $1,000 it falls is the sound of the future getting inevitable. It just dropped below 25 grand. If this one tuned your radar, the next episode covers the technology race underneath all of it. The battery breakthroughs deciding which of these companies survives the decade. That video's on your screen right now, and the full series is linked in the description below. Subscribe to The Turbo Theory, the machines, the money, and the moves behind the car industry every week. And tell me in the comments, at $24,950, would you actually buy a bare-bones electric pickup? No frills, no giant screen, just the truck? I genuinely want the honest split on this one. See you in the next one.